Chris Hassel joined by Brady, Quinn, and Danny Kannell. We have picks and props for this one. Let's start with anytime touchdown score. Brady, you went down to the buzzer trying to decide who you wanted to pick here, going back and forth.
What? Full disclosure.
Yeah?
I messed up my initial submission. I did what you did last week.
Yeah.
I actually did. I think at anytime touchdown score, I did first touchdown
You thought you were getting great value.
I thought I was getting great value on Christian McCaffrey. But like, what? How is he plus odds? And then I went back and looked and go, oh, okay. Clearly mistook the two. I'm going to go with, for anytime touchdown scorer, Elijah Mitchell, who came back from injury in last week's game. Actually got more rushing attempts, a little more burn time than Christian McCaffrey. Some people thought maybe McCaffrey got benched or something for some reason. It was some weird thing on like a blog out there for the 49ers. But the reality is you moved on from Jeff Wilson, and now you're looking at a backfield where Elijah Mitchell's got a lot of speed. He's a productive running back, still on his rookie deal. And you could give Christian McCaffrey a bit of a blow by mixing in Elijah Mitchell. So I think this is a game where it seems like the 49ers are very set on establishing the rushing attack. And McCaffrey's going to be part of that, but the way they move him around, it's going to leave opportunities for Elijah Mitchell, not only just to carry the rock a lot, but to be in the backfield by himself. So I think at some point in time, he gets in the end zone tonight. And then first touchdown scorer I've got with Christian McCaffrey. Now, there's plus odds for that. And the reason why I say that is they brought him in even for short yardage. And so if it gets down to the goal line, McCaffrey will come in. He'll be the more power running back between the two.
I mean, Kyle Shanahan is just having a field day with Christian McCaffrey. That was the first odds that I checked, too, because you're like, oh, he's going to score. But minus 200, it's a little bit too there's not enough return on the investment there, although it might be a certainty that he does get a touchdown. So I went a little bit deeper down the charts and on the other side of the ball, because no matter who's playing quarterback, whether it would have been Kyler Murray, and now that we're finding out it's Colt McCoy, you better be finding where DeAndre Hopkins is. He's clearly the biggest offensive threat through the air, the big play capability. So I went him plus 155. And in a game, too, where I think Brady and I are on the same page the way this game could unfold, you could see the Cardinals playing from behind, having to play catch-up. Again, provides a lot of opportunity for DeAndre Hopkins throughout the game. So I thought him at plus 155 was pretty good value.
He's dealing with a hamstring injury. Was a little bit limited in practice this week, so something to keep an eye on.
And Kyler's hamstring injury keeping him out again. Colt McCoy once again starting this game for Arizona. Let's go to first scoring play. You said you liked Christian McCaffrey to be the first touchdown scorer.
I do. I think the 49ers are going to score a touchdown. Now, at plus 114, you don't get a lot of juice there. However, one of the things with the Christian McCaffrey addition to this roster, with Deebo Samuel, the way they move around Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle, the way they can move him around too, you've got so many different chess pieces that Kyle Shanahan likes to play with. I think it's really tough for defensive coordinators to figure out how they want to play all these guys and what Kyle Shanahan's plan is coming into the game. So, for me, I think San Francisco scores a touchdown. They're really good with some of those scripted plays to start games. And maybe the defense for Arizona is kind of playing from behind, trying to catch up on some of that strategy.
How many games does Christian McCaffrey do? 3?
He's played 3 games so far.
You're still going to see them use him in unique ways that defensive coordinators haven't seen yet. Formations, motions, positions, where they'll put him.
So a third of his snaps come not from the backfield.
Right.
Slot, somewhere else where he's kind of moving around.
Kyle Shanahan, one of the better offensive minds. You mentioned the game plan, the scripting at the beginning of the game. That was one thing that Kyle got from his dad, Mike, played with him in Denver. You saw the first 15, always a big part, and always a lot of times very successful. So I'm with you. I think the Cardinals be on their heels a little bit, trying to decipher what formation's coming, what weapon to take away, and Kyle Shanahan and this 49ers offense with those threats, all those weapons will make the most of it. So I had the same thing, going down the field for a touchdown.
All right, let's go to a Niners player prop. Both of you guys are looking at wide receivers.
Yeah, I've got Brandon Ayuk for the San Francisco 49ers. It seems like since Jimmy Garoppolo has taken over as their starting quarterback, he's really started to develop more chemistry with Brandon Ayuk. A couple times last week when you're watching that against the Chargers, when they blocked a lot of those blitz zeros, those all-out blitz pressures, he looked Ayuk. That was the guy he decided to go to, and in some clutch situations. So his over-under for receptions is set at 4.5. I like the over. He's gone over the last 4 weeks. I think he should go over in this game.
I went with Deebo Samuel, the player that was such a big part of this offense, the last year and a half. And then all of a sudden it feels like he's taking a little bit of a back seat because Christian McCaffrey has taken over. At some time, these defenses are going to spotlight Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle. And I think it might happen tonight where you see Deebo Samuel the opportunity. Ultimately, though, I think there's plenty to go around and where Deebo Samuel can go over his receiving total. The big play threat is there of 53.5. So I got over Deebo Samuel's receiving yardage.
Over to Cardinals player props, Brady.
James Conner under his rushing total for tonight. That's set at 49.5. He's going up against the #1 rush defense in terms of yards per attempt in San Francisco 49ers. It's an incredibly disruptive front. The linebackers flow. This is a team that's getting healthy. Coming out of the bye, they got 8 players back last week versus the Chargers. They're getting healthier. They're playing better. I think it's going to be a rough night for James Conner.
So I was looking at Colt McCoy because as good as this 49ers defense is, playing from behind, I think they're going to have to air it out somewhat. And I think that Colt McCoy is making it a little bit tougher to return to Kyler Murray. I don't know, Kyler Murray's hurt, right? He's not supposed to come back, but I think the way he's played has made it a lot easier to take your time. He's really efficient in the system, somebody who's seen a lot of football, a lot of different defenses. 218 seemed a little bit low to me considering the way I think the game could unfold. So I went over Colt McCoy's passing yardage.
Another thing to that point, it's not like Cliff Kingsbury is scared to throw with them.
Right.
When you look at the one star when he played versus the Rams, threw the ball like 37 times. I mean, they threw the football more than they ran the football. Typically, when you get a backup in there, you think he's going to get more rushing attempts. So kind of another reason, too, I think I kind of factored that into my bet, thinking James Conner's not going to get as many touches because I think they're going to want Colt McCoy to sling the football around.
They won that game against the Rams. If they win this, they'll be back in the playoff hunt. That's a big if. Now, the Niners are a win away from pulling even in the division with the Seattle Seahawks. Right now, San Francisco is the favorite in the division despite being a half game back. Minus 225, though. How do you see the division shaping out?
To me, it's the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, how many teams can say they have literally 3 all-pros in their backfield when you've got Christian McCaffrey now, Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle? And Jimmy Garoppolo is a really good quarterback for this system with the way he can just facilitate and just manage the game and make throws when called upon. But as long as he doesn't turn over the football and put his defense in bad spots, that defense can win you a lot of games too with guys like Nick Bosa. So I think they should be the favorites. And I think if you go back to week 5 and look off at that jumping off point for Jimmy Garoppolo, Danny, he's completing 70% of his passes, 8 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. He's got a rushing touchdown in there as well. He's playing some really good football. And I think we kind of tend to forget he wasn't the guy going into the season. So it was going to take some time before he got more involved with this offense, and they're rolling right now.
I think you're probably right, but at minus 225, I'd rather get a little more value on the Seahawks. You know, take a little bit of that return. This team feels hot. Geno Smith is playing as good as anybody. And there's one thing that I think you have to take into consideration when you watch the 49ers, the amount of usage that Christian McCaffrey is getting. One big issue that he's had throughout his career is injuries. As he, I hope he does. It'd be great. It's a great story of him getting this new life in this winning team and organization. But I still watch every time I can. I'm like, man, I hope he stays healthy. So I think that could play a factor too.
It's probably another reason too why Elijah Mitchell ran the football a bit more last week versus the Chargers as opposed to McCaffrey. They're probably trying to limit some of that, put him on a pitch count.
The number tonight has crept up to 10. It was down near 8 when there was a thought that Kyler Murray could play. The total is 42.5. Where are you guys resting tonight?
I like the over in this one. I think you're going to see a fair amount of scoring early from San Francisco. Then, as you talked about, Danny, maybe it's a backdoor cover here for the Arizona Cardinals. So I'll take the 10 points. A line this big just feels too big for a divisional game between 2 teams, by the way, who are playing at altitude.
Yeah.
I mean, people tend to forget it's 7,000 feet in Mexico City. Like, guys going to be huffing and puffing. So
who has the advantage then?
You know, it's funny. Arizona's kind of at altitude. It's a little over like 1,100 feet, something like that. Obviously, San Francisco's not. But I guess you'd say they have a little advantage if that's the case.
It is. I think you and I we both played at Denver at different times. I think it's one of the better home field advantages in the NFL. And playing against them a couple of times, you come in 2 nights before. You need a week or 10 days, and neither of these teams did that. So they're both going to be huffing and puffing. But I'm with you on the pick. Same exact reasons. I think this number is too big. I think Colt McCoy, there's not that much drop-off. It might look differently offensively, but I just think he's got enough savvy where he can put up some points late to keep him with that number. And that being the case, I'll go with the over as well.
All right, final game of the week before we get 3 games on Thanksgiving here, heading into Week 12 in the National Football League. We'll put a bow on that with our Monday Night Football coverage tonight. Both the guys are going to be on HQ leading up to the game, Brady and Danny. We'll also have Bryant McFadden, Ryan Wilson, Charles Davis, and many, many more beginning at 6 o'clock Eastern Time.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.